Good evening. Jackie Weaver and Ray Martin have led the tributes to Derryn Hinch at a stirring state funeral for the broadcasting legend. There were tears and plenty of tall tales, with Hinch saving one last salacious headline until the very end.
The human headline right to the end. Derryn's current partner, former actress Linda Stoner, laid a rose on his coffin.
Jackie Weaver here, Derryn's third wife.
Was shooting a TV series in Western Australia, but in her message greeted all the women Derryn loved.
Hello. I won't mention you individually, we don't have the time. And in the immortal words of Steven Spielberg, we're going to need a bigger boat.
Derryn always insisted,
the only thing history owes the dead is the truth.
So today, this breaking news about his interview with singer Bette Midler 53 years ago.
Derryn and Bette Midler engaged in a bit of horizontal romper after that interview. And that is the truth.
A newspaper American correspondent. He revolutionised talkback radio, hosted a national TV show.
He was brave and brash, with an ego that could light up a small city. But he was also very likeable, and I liked him a lot.
He was jailed for contempt of court in his fight for child sex abuse victims.
Hinch was a journalistic James Bond. Drama followed him everywhere.
Some people pass through life, through public life that is, without leaving a ripple. I tell you, as most of us here know, he created tsunamis.
And it was a bit like Zorro riding into town on his horse. It was absolutely amazing.
The way you changed my life. No, they can't take that away from me.
At one stage, he drank 6 bottles of wine a day. Liver cancer led him to a life-saving transplant.
His new liver gave him 15 years, formed his own political party, and election to the Senate. This is an extraordinary achievement for a 72-year-old, much less 5 years after an organ transplant.
That's life. That's life. The service finished with his signature song that ended his show every day.
Riding high in April, shut down in May.
I know what Derryn will be saying now if he could, and that would be, wow, what a ride. After all, there is no point getting to the end of your life in pristine condition. Goodbye, my friend. That's life.
Goodbye. I love you, Joby. I've loved you from the very start to the very end.
Nick McCallum, 7 News.
Frustration with rampant crime has boiled over in a country Victorian supermarket where locals have taken the law into their own hands. A man accused of harassing a woman and her children quickly found himself on the receiving end.
Vigilante justice at the checkout. Inside this regional Woolworths, one child climbed over the till to escape the chaos, another rushed to safety by a bystander.
Please get out, my kids!
A witness told 7 News the man on the receiving end was allegedly harassing a woman and her children. At 7 last night, one Kyabram local took matters into his own hands.
Why? Why did you do this? Why?
Oh, it's extremely sad to see. I can't speak to their motives or whatever, but it's not fair for community members, families, businesses.
10 days ago, the same 44-year-old was tasered and arrested over an alleged assault on another shop attendant and a police officer, charged and released on bail.
For a while there, us in the country thought we were a little bit immune from it. Well, we're not.
Today, Woolworths urged the government to pass legislation that'll increase penalties for people who commit violence in workplaces. It's a problem that's frustrating local residents and local police as well.
My discussions tell me that, yes, they are very frustrated, as they should be. legislation just doesn't allow them to act in a way that most people would consider reasonable.
I think this is just the unfortunate consequence of Labor's weak laws when it comes to crime.
Labor says our bail laws are the toughest in the nation. Both men in last night's affray have been charged and bailed. Jacqueline Stanley, 7 News.
A wrong-way driver has caused mayhem in the Burnley Tunnel and on the Bolte Bridge before crashing head-on into a car full of people.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
A 51-year-old woman from Rye has been charged. The driver of the other vehicle and all 5 of his passengers escaped without serious injury. Just 24 hours after winning the Tasmanian coaching job, Ken Hinkley is already talking premierships. Live to Tom Morris in Hobart, and Tom, the AFL finally has a face for its 19th team, Tasmanians old and young.
That's exactly right, Peter. There's little doubt that tonight Ken Hinkley is the toast of Tasmania. He was at his showman best today, selling the dream of Tasmania and success to anyone who wanted to listen. Now, I've been at many media conferences over the past few years in footy, and I've never seen anything quite like this. 5 separate rounds of applause for Ken Hinkley and the CEO and also the chair. He spoke about the 3 C's, care, compassion and character, and he spoke about his philosophy for the club over the next few years. He wants to be remembered, along with the Tasmania Devils, for the next few decades, maybe even 100 years, and he wants to have an impact on this football state far beyond the actual football they play on the field. He is an amazing person, an incredible coach, and the club saw that in him to appoint him as the inaugural coach. He will have an impact on Tasmanians, not just old, but also very young. Kenny, king of the kids, and now Tasmanian royalty.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here if I didn't think we're going to win.
He's a great connector, and that's going to be hugely important for us as we bring together our first playing group, but also a great connector in terms of bringing this state together.
After 13 years and 297 games in the top job at Port Adelaide, Hinkley beat Nathan Buckley and John Longmire to the Devils' job.
Look, I'm not going to comment on who may have been involved or not, or, of the process I've undertaken.
Hinkley, a career coach.
I'll share with the line when I first spoke to Brendan, probably 18 months ago, is that I'm a footy coach. That's what I know. I don't know too much else. I just know what a footy coach does and how he behaves.
The 59-year-old can already picture his family calling Tasmania home. The Devils' hierarchy biting back at outgoing Giants chief Dave Matthews, who claims the Apple Isle is an unattractive destination for players to have a career.
A bit rich of Dave to lean in, given he's never lived here, and in fact he's never lived in West Sydney either. The Prince of Balmoral.
Well, if you're uneducated, you don't know. I think that's really important. You've got to know what you're talking about.
Hinkley now the salesman for the game's biggest stars. Zach Butters, Tom Green and Tasmanian Alex Pearce, all on the shopping list.
I haven't, but I hope our list manager has. And I hope our recruiting manager has. I hope that's going on. So that's what all good football clubs do, and we're a good football club.
Hinkley officially begins on November 1. Tom Morris, 7 News.
For the first time tonight, we can show you heart-stopping vision of a shopping centre rampage captured by security cameras inside Northland. The speeding driver behind the wheel of the stolen Land Cruiser today pleaded guilty in court.
Few minutes of madness. It begins when police approach the stolen Land Cruiser parked outside Northland. Girawa May is behind the wheel and rams the unmarked police car, reversing into it 4 times, narrowly missing an officer. May then drives off over a metal bollard and smashes through the shopping centre doors. Police run after the car as shoppers dive out of the way. The 28-year-old speeds through the centre, hitting a children's play area. Witnesses say he travelled at 50 to 60 kilometres an hour. People were screaming for help and running. One person falls and crawls out of the way. Others jump to avoid being struck. Remarkably, no one was injured. May has been in jail since his his arrest in June last year, today he pleaded guilty. May told the court, "It always replays in my head. I'm sorry for what I've done." He says he was drug affected and not thinking properly. His grandparents attended the hearing, telling the court they're very disappointed, but know inside he is an incredible man. May had tears in his eyes when his grandmother spoke directly to him in court. His family has vowed to support him and says he has a strong chance of rehabilitation if he stays away from drugs. He will remain behind bars and return to court on the 28th of August. Melina Saris, 7 News.
A Victorian woman facing terrorism charges has been granted bail. So-called ISIS bride and mother of 4, Rayann El-Houli, was charged with travelling to a declared conflict zone and joining Islamic State. Federal police also allege she recorded herself showing extremist material to her young children. The magistrate said her risk of reoffending is relatively low, taking into account her PTSD and potential multiple sclerosis. The Premier has finally apologised to Victoria's Commonwealth Games athletes who will miss out on competing in front of a home crowd. Both sides of politics are now in a race of their own as the election's starting line creeps closer.
4 days before the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, Premier Jacinta Allen knows our athletes would rather be competing in Victoria. Today, for the first time, an apology, eventually, for abandoning the event costing taxpayers $600 million.
It was made very clear at the time that we understood the disappointment on behalf of those athletes.
Acknowledging their disappointment, though, is very different to offering an apology that might mean something to the athletes.
Yes, and of course I am sorry. I'm sure those athletes, and I've met, as I've said, I've spoken to them.
You said you were sorry, but it kind of got lost there.
No, well, I've given my answer, and what are
you sorry for? What are you sorry for there?
In terms of the response to the question, let's also remember that the decision was taken at the time.
She didn't explain her apology. In the race to win votes, the government and opposition both made election policy pitches. Labor wants to restrict bosses using AI to monitor staff.
Making sure that AI algorithms are not in control of decisions that affect their daily working lives.
The opposition's focus today, education, with a promise to lift Victoria's NAPLAN literacy and numeracy results by 15%. It's an optimistic long-term plan they say they'll need 10 years in government to achieve.
We're decluttering the curriculum and we're supporting staff with some focused professional learning.
But no commitment to fund schools in line with the national standard.
We'll look at this when we come to government.
Paul Dowsley, 7 News.
The US military says another soldier has died in the Middle East. It happened in northern Iraq during a planned operation to destroy leftover explosives from a crashed Iranian drone. The death comes a day after 2 service members were killed in a separate attack on a base in Jordan, as the US and Iran exchanged strikes for an 8th consecutive day. Pauline Hanson has boasted about having one of the worst attendance records in Parliament, declaring she simply doesn't turn up. The One Nation leader squarely in the spotlight.
The program has gone to air, but for Pauline Hanson, the spotlight is only intensifying.
Who said it was going to be an onslaught?
Oh, come on.
In an extended interview shown here for the first time, boasting about not doing part of her job.
Your Senate estimates hearings record is the worst.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
I don't turn up.
Claiming committees which take evidence on the detail of legislation and the budget aren't worth her time, but insisting she never misses a day in the Senate chamber.
I'm there at Parliament every time when Parliament's sitting. Yes, I am there.
Adamant that outside 7 days suspension for this stunt, she hasn't missed a single day.
When you're passing legislation, I'm there every day.
But official parliamentary record shows she's not Far from it. Since entering the Senate in 2016, she's missed 76 sitting days, 60 of them without leave, including an entire 2-week sitting in October and November when she joined mining billionaire Gina Rinehart on her private jet to Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate for a Conservative conference, skipping 8 sitting days and 96 votes on 22 pieces of legislation.
She needs to front up to the Australian people, explain herself and apologise for trashing this country.
And questions too over massive budget cuts she tells Spotlight she'd make, about 3/4 of which, $45 billion worth, don't seem to exist.
We'd get rid of the climate change department, about $30 billion a year.
The department's real budget, just $8.7 billion.
Then you've got the Aboriginal industry, and that's another $30 billion.
Total Indigenous funding, though, just $6 billion. While on another topic...
And she also said she loved mass deportation.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong.
Barnaby Joyce adamant.
She didn't say that. It's ridiculous.
But she did.
Do you think, Senator, this concept of mass deportation is a good one?
Oh, I love it.
A love now denied. To put Pauline Hanson's attendance record in some perspective, she's missed the equivalent of 1 full year of parliamentary sittings in the decade since joining the Senate, and she skipped more than 2,000 votes on legislation from immigration and terrorism to health and pay. Now, her followers do forgive her an awful lot. One Nation's vote rose a point back to 30 in today's news poll, but on this, even the most die-hard supporters are well within their rights to say, please explain. Mitch.
Political editor Mark Riley, thank you. The World Cup final looked more like a Super Bowl in New Jersey thanks to a star-studded halftime show. There was only 1 goal in the decider, but it was enough for Spain to break Argentinian hearts.
Champions of the world.
Oh, Spain!
Glory in New Jersey, celebrations in Madrid and Barcelona. Spain living the dream, the greatest of all time, reduced to tears.
Perfection is hard to repeat.
After a day that began with joy and hope, 80,000 fans in New Jersey as Tom Cruise set the stage.
Let us celebrate a tournament that brought the world together.
The president with the best seat in the House, flying in on Marine One. Enter Argentina and Spain, and the prize they crave. When the final kicked off, the real game was celebrity sightings.
Matt Damon, another amongst the cast of stars.
Spain with early chances.
Nicked on to Oyarzabal.
In a match crying out for entertainment, bring on the halftime show. Madonna started the party with Brazilian legends behind the wheel, from the Queen of Pop to the world's most famous puppets. Before America's most famous soccer coach brought in the big gun.
Go out there, don't be nervous, nobody's watching.
Shakira signing off. When the wait was over, Spain was relentless.
Lamar Torres, who's had a hit parried by Martinez. Lamine Yamal, oh what a save! Emi Martinez.
Argentina's keeper single-handedly keeping them in the game. Heart sank when Enzo Fernandez saw red just before extra time. Then, the goal.
And thundered in for Spain by Ferran Torres! At last! At long last! Spain's magic moment!
A late flurry from Argentina, too little, far too late.
Spain are the champions! Spain have seized their second star!
The elation of victory soured briefly by fury and frustration. Argentina heartbroken, angry and not hiding it, as Messi cut a lonely figure. So a dream outcome for Spain winning what is their second World Cup title, but absolute heartbreak for Argentina and their fans. Probably the last time we'll ever see Lionel Messi in a World Cup, not the way these fans wanted to say goodbye to him. A full circle moment. The baby Messi once held. This is Lamine Yamal's time now, shared with his little brother. Donald Trump, as expected, front and centre, as the Spanish celebrated across the globe. Parties as big as the champagne bottles overflowing in the Champions Room. In New Jersey, Rob Scott, 7 News.